TGIF, everyone. Vagabond here, and we've got news hot off the presses, so let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. Gunfire Games just dropped the patch notes for Remnant 2, and there's some really interesting info, transparency, and impacts to leveling and grinding in here. But first, let's talk a little bit about performance. If you've done any perusing of the forums or YouTube, you've probably seen discussions of crashes, massive frame drops, and complaints of poor optimization. Well, Gunfire Games has heard you, it seems, and they've gone on to state that they're working on initial optimizations to improve overall performance. There's been updates to improve hitching and potential crashes. They've fixed multiple reported crash bugs, and high detail shadows have been moved to a separate option and can be enabled in the options on PC. Hopefully, that will fully remove, if not drastically mitigate, issues for those that have been struggling with them. Next, for the big quality of life section. Here, they've addressed some of the issues people have been bringing up, as well as their thoughts on subjects like traits, scrap, and overall just play, stating things here, quoted, "While we still have quite a few things we are working on regarding traits and long-term grinding for those that wish to partake, we wanted to make a few changes in this patch to ensure players had more freedom to experiment. Players should find it much easier to respec, and they should also end up with more scrap overall. We aren't done here by any means, and these are not the larger changes we've mentioned on Discord and Reddit, but in the short term, they would help to ease the burden or reconfiguring your build and experimenting with different options." Now, what exactly does that translate to? Well, here we go. First, the trait cap has been increased by 5. Should bring anyone who gets to max able to get up to 65 trait points. So not a full trait card's worth extra from what we had before, but I'm curious to see what options people will go with. For the second item, the Tome of Knowledge now grants scrap and XP when you've reached the trait cap. Admittedly, I may have missed something here because with the trait cap, I'm not sure what the XP would go to, but maybe someone could educate me in the comments. I'm happy to see other means for scrap, though, especially for people not fortunate enough to have gotten items like the Scavenger's Bauble, or if the Severed Hand exploit has been patched. Shh. Third item, the Orb of Undoing now has unlimited uses. Hell yes, you heard that right. Also, for any of you players out there who already have any extras, they said you can sell them for scrap. So at least now you have an unlimited use orb, and you can get a little bit of your money back. If you've been itching to multi-class or trying to level up your trait so that you're able to, the trait requirement has been removed. You can equip your second archetype as soon as you have one, or if you've converted any at Wallace. It now costs 0 scrap to convert a mysterious item into an Ingram. The Luminite cost has also been halved. It's down to 5 from the previous 10. Scrap from breakables have been slightly increased, which is great, admittedly, for players like me who would make Link proud with how much I'm rolling around or smashing into every container on sight. Next, scrap has also been increased from regular and rare chests, so definitely even more so now. Equip that bauble, or if you haven't gotten it, definitely make sure you check on YouTube, and if anyone else wants to know where to get it, in the comments and stuff like that, because I also don't remember if it's something that you can't miss. I can make a video about that as well. Scrap's also been increased from killing aberrations, so overall I like to see across the board a way for anybody, no matter what your skill, no matter what you're comfortable with, is able to get more money to turn it around for more items, more weapons, more upgrades, things like that. Finally, the cost of Bloodroot has been reduced, so it's going to be a little easier to get additional support items, or for anyone else not running medic archetype, multi-classing in medic, or if you're running solo. As far as archetypes go, some of them got a few tweaks, though most of them were buffs, so don't get too concerned. Explorer received a 5-second increase to both Scavenger and the Gold Digger perk, while having its healing go up to 2 HP a second from its previous 1.5. Archon got some bonuses as well to soften the expected nerfs. More on that in a second. With Archon form damage getting doubled from 28 to 56, its blink damage is also being increased from 100 to 150, and its cooldown is getting reduced by a whopping 30 seconds, putting it at 90 seconds instead of the original 120. Challenger had one change with its damage fall off being adjusted for close quarters. Now, if you're at maximum range, you'll always maintain a 10% damage bonus to all damage. For the Handler, Pack Hunter range was increased by 15 meters from 25 to 40. Also, the base max health of Very Good Boy has been increased. Rounding it out in the last was to get changes was the Summoner, where base max health was also increased for both the Hollow and the Flyer variants. Now, myself, I haven't gotten a chance to try out the Summoner yet, but y'all let me know if this change was something y'all were either needing or if it makes their usage more viable in combat, especially against bosses. Now, as far as weapons go, this was the part of the patch notes where the nerfs started to appear. Nightfall got its fire rate reduced in both its standard and Dreadwalker fire modes. The dev stated that it was dealing far more damage than other weapons, and they wanted to bring it in line with other high damage weapons in the game. Enigma got absolutely bullied here, getting its AoE burst damage reduced from 40 to 30. Tether damage from primary fire was reduced from 75 to 65%. Magazine capacity reduced to 25 from 30, but they increased total reserve capacity from 120 to 125. It was definitely my favorite alongside the cube gun to use in the handgun slot, so I was bummed to see so many changes, but we'll have to see how much it affects overall performance. I am curious though if cards like Amplitude will have you not feeling as much of the difference. Now, as far as the enemies, theirs was a bit of a shorter list in the notes. Dealing with the Nightweaver first, her grab damage was actually reduced, and Magister Delane's tongue attacks hitbox was adjusted to be able to line up better with the visuals for the attack. For multiplayer, there was only one item, but admittedly a pretty big one. Incoming damage was reduced from 25% to 15%. Now, myself personally, I haven't gotten around to trying co-op out yet, so I wasn't even aware it was that high. Props to those of you, though, who have completed the campaign or have even gone back for seconds or thirds when it was set that high. As far as the bugs, the section was a fairly hefty portion, so I tried to grab the standout ones that both in my experience I had dealt with myself or that I had seen being talked about a lot. One of them being the plasma cutter, breaking the final boss experience, preventing it from going to the second phase. That has been fixed. There was apparently a negative trait bug that was going around that's been fixed as well, though if you are still experiencing this, they said picking up a trait point should revert your negative trait points back to positive. For scripted deaths, there were actual deaths that were happening in hardcore with three main bosses, they were saying, from the Bone Harvester, the Empress Guards, and the Red Prince. They fixed those as well. And bugged weapon unlocks people were experiencing in hardcore and across different difficulties have also been fixed. At the tail end of everything were notes having to do with archetype issues, gear, items, enemies, and a large collection of miscellaneous things. I'll again share some of the standout points, but I definitely recommend you check out the full list for yourself, and I'll be providing a link to their website in the description. First, the much expected nerf we all knew was coming for Lightning Hands of the Archon has happened. Casting speed now ramps up properly without going infinite. Though, definitely for me, it was fun seeing the videos of all the damage that y'all were pulling off with those builds, though. Hunter's Shroud apparently was also granting a multiplicative damage bonus. That was also fixed. Invader's Shark was apparently not applying a damage bonus. That's been patched as well. Boss and special melee weapons will now receive the proper scaling that they were meant to. The previous mentioned Severed Hand exploit has been fixed. Doggone it. And I kept putting it off to go back there and take advantage of it. Yeah, I said it. The exploit to prevent fall damage while holding a throwable or a melee weapon in a throwing position was fixed. Y'all are geniuses. I don't even know about some of these things. The Siege fight skip was patched, and the XP exploit during the Feastmaster event was also fixed. Whew. I'm telling y'all, this was a long one, and even though it was a bummer to see some of these changes, I am glad to see Gunfire Games bringing that same commitment to both listening and cultivating their game that will hopefully carry over many more improvements, changes, and DLC. Let me know if there's anything I missed or something that was or wasn't changed in the comments. And if this video helped you or you enjoyed it in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to get updated about more content. It really does help. Well, that's going to be it for me today for this video, but I hope all of you have a great rest of your Friday as well as your weekend, and I will see you all again. Be well.